Hey everyone, Silver here. Today we're going to be playing some Yu-Gi-Ohs, or watching some Yu-Gi-Oh replays that I saved. I've been playing a little bit of Dev Pro with Sylvans lately. I have the deck in real life and I play it pretty frequently, and I'm trying to make it good before Primal Origins comes out. And so I've been experimenting with the currently released cards in Legacy of the Valiant, and of course Cherub Sprout, which we get as a promo. This week we're getting Dragons of Legend, which has a ton of support for Sylvans. That's not in Dev Pro yet, but when we do get that, it's going to completely change the way I look at the build. And then additionally, of course, when Primal Origins does come out, it's going to once again change the way the deck plays. So I've been playing the Primal Origin version to try to get some ideas. So I have a concept for that deck when Dragons of Legend comes out, and I can think, hey, this is what I want to do with Curry Bandit and Soul Charge. So I've got an article on Sylvan coming up this week, but we're just going to watch some videos, or some replays. I keep calling them videos. They're not actually videos, of some Sylvan stuff. So we'll start off with this one. This is against, he's playing, oh, I want to swap again. He's playing some sort of junk deck. I don't know. It's got some okay synchro capabilities. I'm not sure what exactly he was going to do with it. It wasn't too bad when he did what he did, but anyways, I open up with Lone Fire, Mount Sylvania, Flower Knight, Snuff Spy, and Peacekeeper. Lone Fire immediately into Hermit Tree. Anytime you have Lone Fire and the Mount Sylvania in hand, that's a turn 1 Felgrand, so we'll just keep playing this. This is going to go ahead and stack for a Cherub Sprout. Cherub Sprout's effect is going to kick in and get a... It's so fast. Cherub Sprout effect will kick in, of course, and get the Copy Plant. Copy Plant will target the Hermitry, and Hermitry and Copy Plant will make Felgrand. So a lot of complex plays here. Dev Pro goes through them pretty quickly. The card I discarded actually is Snuff Spy. When Snuff Spy is sent to the graveyard, you excavate the top card of your deck. And it's pretty interesting because you can use it with the field spell Mount Sylvania to immediately excavate the top card. You don't have to wait for that. And so, of course, then stacking for Cherub Sprout, and then get the Copy Plant. And then I'm able to use Hermitry at that point to excavate a Guardioak, get its effect. I don't think I used it. Or yes, I did. I did use it. I put the Lone Fire on top of my deck. And then, of course, draw a card, which I draw into Sequoia. I had the option here to summon the Sequoia, decided not to, being on the first turn, and then, of course, overlay into Felgrand itself. With Felgrand on the board, he's got a really uphill duel, basically. He's got to get past this Felgrand, knowing that there's a Lone Fire coming next turn. So he goes Striker, TG Striker, special summoning that via its Cyber Dragon-like effect, and then summoning Scrap Recycler. Recycler is going to send Quillbolt. Quillbolt summons itself because he has a tuner, and make Black Rose here. Is going to use its effect to nuke the field. I have a couple of options. One of them would be to target his Black Rose and negate its effect, so I keep both my cards. The other option is to simply target my Felgrand with its effect and keep it on the board. I decided to go with the Felgrand, targeting Felgrand, because if he has the capacity to make like a 101 or something, he would be able to get past me. So we'll just continue to play here. Of course, everything gets nuked except for the Felgrand, and I draw into my next turn. And I believe I summon the Lone Fire, and he scoops his hand because he doesn't really have anything at that point. And yeah, it's pretty much going to be game because he pretty much can't get past the Felgrand at that point. So let's go to the this duel right here. This was against someone playing Fortune Ladies with probably Heroes because he's playing Mirror Fusion. I didn't see this game. I opened up fairly decent with 2 Sequoias or Sage Koyas, a Martial Leaf, a Charity, and of course Lone Fire Blossom. And anytime, again, Lone Fire Blossom and Charity, that's usually pretty good and you can do a lot of things. So Lone Fire into Hermitry, and then using this card, Sylvan Charity, to go ahead and draw cards and then stack my deck. Excavate the top, drawing into the Cherub Sprout and then sending the Cherub Sprout back to the top of the deck. This is once again going to set me up for a first turn Felgrand. So I've got the Felgrand on the board, and now I can kind of protect my field a little bit. He lures, does some fancy stuff with Fortune Ladies very, very quickly. Sets Torrential, Solemn Warning, Dimensional Prison, Mystical Space Typhoon, and then summons card D. I don't target it. I probably should have. but I decided not to, and then he ends his turn. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He's got 8 cards, which isn't too bad, and he's got a somewhat of a developed graveyard. Anytime you have a Lure and Fortune Future plus Fortune Lady Dark, it's pretty good. It's a really nice draw combo. So I'm going to draw for turn and draw into the Rank Up Magic and play that. So if you draw this during your normal draw phase, you can activate it and you can special summon a 101 to 107 Xyz monster and then overlay it with a 101 to 1 or C101 C107 Xyz monster. So anytime you draw this, it's really a game-winning card. And the reason it's so good in Sylvan is because Sylvan can put it back on top of their deck with Charity. So that's pretty exciting, as well as any other deck that's playing stuff that you can put a card in your hand back into the deck. So this card is absolutely amazing, and it's going to let me right here get C101, and then going to go ahead and summon. I'm trying to bait out his back row at this point, so I'll summon Snuff Spy and then activate Nutrient. He's going to chain Typhoon to negate it. Snuff Spy will activate, and it will excavate my Fairy Lotus. I wasn't banking on the Sylvan excavation. I was banking on it being a Sylvan card. It didn't matter which one it was, because at this point now I can trigger my in-hand Sequoia, and he's going to warning that. I'm not sure. It wasn't the best move he could have made, I guess, but under the circumstances, he didn't really have any other options. So I attack into D Prison with C101, and I hit it with my Felgrand to negate it, to prevent it from being banished by the Dimensional Prison. He draws for turn and has nothing in hand. So it looks like he's playing Destinies because he's got Destiny Hero and the Miracle Fusion. So unfortunately, he drew the Reckless Greed off of the card and couldn't set it in the first turn. And basically, at this point, with 400 life points left and only a Torrential to protect him, knowing that he can't kill the Felgrand on either turn, that's pretty much game. So we'll go on to Duel 3. When this duel started off, my opponent messaged me. He was like, "Nice name." I was like, "Cool, thanks." Red Xenoraptor. That's kind of cool. Xenoraptor. He's playing Hazy, which is actually pretty neat because I really like this deck. He opens up pretty, okay, I guess. I'm wondering if he only plays one Sphinx. I don't know. Double Cerberus is okay. The one Onslaught's okay. The Typhoon was dead for him, unfortunately, and the Sphinx. Sphinx is kind of bad to draw. The drawing 2 Cerberus kind of sucks, but it's not a terrible hand. It's definitely workable. My hand on the other hand was Guardioak, Lone Fire, Copy Plant, Cherub Sprout, and Dandelion, and I believe he goes first in this, so he's going to summon Cerberus and set Typhoon. I'm going to draw into Sequoia. So at this point, with the Sequoia in hand and the Guardioak in hand, I think my best play is to go for Hermitry. Yeah, Hermitry. And then try to get a draw. And doesn't really do anything. I'm wondering at this point if I should have attacked him or if I should have just let it live there. Because I attacked him, I set up his Onslaught and I set up his Periton play for the next turn. So that may not have been the best choice, but I didn't want him to make Basiltress either. So he goes into Onslaught, summons a monster, tributes it for Periton. Periton's effect gets 2 Hydras, and this is pretty cool, because when he got the 2 Hydras, I was kind of curious why he didn't go for a Sphinx, and I thought maybe he had drawn them or something, or he didn't play them, but I didn't realize that both of the Hydra's effects will activate. So he's got a 2 material Basiltress right here, and it's going to go up to 4 materials. So attach 1, attach 2. So at 4 materials, this guy cannot be targeted by opponent's card effects, and then it gains 200 attack and defense for each Xyz material. So it's at 33, and it can't be targeted. So it's basically that new Synchro monster that I'm going to continually forget, Leo, the Keeper of the Sacred Tree. So it's basically that at this point. That can also detach a material to banish a monster in either player's graveyard or side of the field. So it's kind of like a Chaos Sorcerer that you can't target, and can also activate its effect on the same turn it can also attack on the same turn it activates its effect. So it's a really strong card, but he's missing the one important material. But he swings over my monster, doesn't use its effect because he doesn't want me to be able to target it, because if he detaches, I'll be able to. And at this point, I know I have to make Black Rose and nuke the field, so I banish the Lone Fire and I summon Martial Leaf. And then Martial Leaf's effect's going to kick in. He's going to give me 2 excavations, which I think were both spells. Yep, so nothing there. Then make Black Rose. Alternatively, I could have summoned the Dandelion, but the reason that I summoned the Marshall Leaf was because if he had something to kill my Marshall Leaf, I could send the Dandelion to the graveyard with Mount Sylvania and still be able to make a synchro play into Cataster and then run over the Basilisk with that. So I had two outs basically. If he had warning, I would have had an out, or if he would have warning my Marshall Leaf, I would have had an out to that. Also setting up the play here, trying to get a card for next turn, I believe. Yeah, it was Peacekeeper. And then I'm going to trigger my Sichkoya at the same time. Peacekeeper is going to grab Peacekeeper, Excavate 1. The Flower Knight is going to put the Sylvan Charity on top of the deck. Charity is going to set up some more excavations. I'm going to use this to get to Aurea here in a second. So here's Aurea. And I'm going to excavate 3. Hit a Marshall Leaf. I can kick his monster back to his hand. And now I'm just going to keep doing more shenanigans. Here I could have actually summoned, instead of the Copy Plant, I could have summoned my Flower Knight and attacked for game. But this is just as fine. Because I really wanted to make the Strike Bouncer. And he top decks into the card he actually needed right here, the Hazy Pillar. And he goes for it, but I have Strike Bouncer, which does the last 1,000 damage to win the game. So it was a good game. And what have we seen yet? Okay, we watched 4 or 5. I'm doing these out of order, somewhat on purpose. So this guy, this is the one that I lost, so this should be pretty interesting. It's not very interesting at all, actually. He immediately goes into Stardust. He's got a Salt Mode Activate set. He doesn't attack into my Dandelion. I actually opened up really badly with 2 Cherub Sprouts, a Compu Plant, Raging Mad Plants, and then a Dandelion. I really wanted him to attack into that thing because then I could have Nutrient that monster, and it would have been... Like, if he would have attacked into it, basically, I would have got 2 tokens, and I could have Nutrient next turn, and he would have had to, like, either negate the Nutrient or do something, and then I could have done something else. I don't know what, but I wouldn't have been in the same situation. And he immediately summons the Stardust Dragon, so I'm trying to, at this point, bait it out, but I don't want him to negate this. This is the only thing that can't be negated, is this activation, and I would be fine. But he's very smart here and negates that activation and kills it. So at this point, I'm basically done because I know he's going to negate my card next turn. I don't have anything in my hand to bait out the Assault Mode, and yeah, he's going to run it over for a lot of damage. I think he messaged me at this point too. It was like XD or something, which was fine. I didn't care. And then I Charity and I get no help, and then I just go for the Nutrient, even though I know I can't win. And then the last game. This one is fun. He messages me at first and says he's testing, and I guess he's testing some sort of Necro Valley Naturia build, which is pretty interesting actually, because Necro Valley does actually kind of help Naturias, believe it or not. I think I've seen people side Necro Valley and Naturias before. And then my hand, open up with Charity, Copy Plant, Coma Shroom, Marshall Leaf, Snuff Spy. Not great, but the Charity obviously is helpful. So going to set the Coma Shroom, not going to use Charity quite yet. And he's going to set his monster, his Naturia Cherries. I don't know why he didn't activate his Necro Valley or like set his Typhoon or use anything here. I don't think playing he could have played the Recruiter. He could have gone Necro Valley, summoned the Recruiter, and attacked. It wouldn't have really done anything. But he definitely could have activated the Necro Valley, which would have definitely saved him from the onslaught that's about to occur. So I drew into Lone Fire. Instantly, my hand is amazing. So summon Lone Fire, and then get Hermitry. And now I'm going to flip Coma Shroom. I'm going to excavate Spore, Peacekeeper, Cherub Sprout, and another Cherub Sprout. I can only use one of the Cherub Sprouts, but that's fine. So get Copy Plant, get my Lone Fire back, Lone Fire, tribute the Coma Shroom for my Sichkoya, stack my deck with Charity, get rid of his face down card by getting Marshall Leaf excavated, and he of course gets his cherries with that. But that's fine by me, of course. I've got way too much stuff to lose to this, so I'm going to set up my next couple of plays. Marshall Leaf again to poke his face down, and then Aurea here. Probably could have actually won if I wouldn't have done it this way, but this was fine. So bounce everything with Aurea and then make Felgrand. And so he draws into Bamboo Shoot, sets the cliff, I guess, trying to set up his, basically trying to set up like a Bamboo Shoot Necro Valley lock, and he sets Typhoon, which clearly should have set beforehand, and then also sets his monster, yeah. So I'm going to draw into Raging Mad Plants, and this is where I see an opportunity to just kind of troll a little bit. So all I do here is I activate the effect, I excavate 3 cards, I get nothing good, but I bounce his back row back to his hand, and I summon my Lone Fire, and I search Rainbow Flower. So this is an old card from Metal Raiders, and it's basically just a plant that can attack directly. It's really, really weak, only 400 attack, level 2, but this is perfect because I have Raging Mad Plants in hand, so it doesn't matter what his face down is, it doesn't matter what other cards he has at this point. Unless he can negate a direct attack, he's going to lose here, because I'm going to attack and then play Raging Mad Plants, and that's going to bring his attack up to 4,900. Ori is sitting at 73, which is good enough for itself, but again, that 4,900 direct attack with Rainbow Flower, and that is game. So we'll take a quick look at the deck. Alright, so here's the build I was playing. You can ignore the side deck, there's just some cards that have been set aside there. 1 copy of Hermitry. I think this is pretty much the good number right now. I used to run, I think I run currently 2, but at Post-PRIO, 1 copy is more than enough to get your Felgrand plays off, and that's really all you want. 2 Sage Koyas, I might bump this up to 3 in the future. It's a really good card, even if you draw into it, because you can summon it from your hand, and then it's basically like a better version of Hermitry because of that hand summoning. It's not a complete dead draw when you draw into it. You can do stuff with it, so sometimes you want it in your hand, sometimes you don't. So it's not bad at 3. I like 2 copies. 1 copy of Guardiok. This is definitely the card you want to go into if you don't know what's on top of your deck. Excavates 3 cards, pretty much bound to hit something. And then Fair Lotus, its excavated effect, where it kind of is a Pot of Avarice. It's helpful in the late game, but I actually play it I would say maybe like 40% of the time. I'm playing it because it's a 5 and it works really well with Spore, and then the other 40% of the time I'm playing it because it's got this really cool excavation effect where it can excavate tons and tons and tons of cards if your opponent has like tons of cards on their side of the field. So it's really helpful. It can do some really crazy stuff, and then the other 20% being that it is sort of like a Pot of Avarice. And then Flower Knight. Flower Knight's pretty cool. He puts Sylvan Charity on top of the deck. Does some pretty cool combos. And then 2 Mandragoras. I don't think I played those in any of the duels. You can special summon this from your hand if your opponent has more monsters than you, so it lets you put another monster on the field really quickly. Does some cool synchro stuff with Copy Plant. Also has some good Xyz stuff with Copy Plant. And yeah, it's a pretty solid card overall. Also does some cool stuff with getting another monster on the field for Raging Mad Plants. And then 3 Martial Leaf, 2 Lone Fire, Dandelion. Rainbow Flower is kind of a joke card. I'd definitely take this out in the future. If I were being serious going to a tournament, I wouldn't play this, but it is really funny. 2 Coma Shrooms, and Coma Shroom, yeah, 2 Coma Shroom I think is the right number. And then 3 Stuff Spy. These guys are really, really good. It allows you to just basically get an excavation effect immediately. It allows you to excavate more cards, fill the graveyard with plants better. It's sort of like your Upstart Goblin, almost. It's kind of interesting. 1 Copy Spore, 2 Peacekeepers, 3 Cherub Sprouts. These guys are really, really, really good. They get Copy Plant, they get themselves, they excavate 2 cards, they do all kinds of cool stuff. And then 2 Copy Plants themselves. 1 for 1, of course, to get the Copy Plant. I do get Cherub Sprout a lot to use its excavation effect, so that's pretty good too. And of course Spore and Peacekeeper. And then 1 Rake Up 1 Rake Up Magic, 7th one. This is of course to get 101 and C101. You can stack it to the deck with Sylvan Charity, the big consistency card, and then 3 Raging Mad Plants. This card is absolutely insane. If you're not playing it in Sylvans, you need to go try it because it is amazing. Anytime you have like 2 of them, you basically have game, as long as it's not like in the first like 2 turns. But typically, by turn 3 or 4, this card is already giving you 2,000 plus attack to all of your plants, and then they get destroyed at the end phase, but you can just like overlay them, synchro with them, whatever. It's almost negligible. And And so yeah, it's just a really really strong card. I absolutely recommend playing it. And then 2 Super Solar Nutrients to fetch Lone Fire also works really well with Snuff Spy. You can also get Rainbow Flower with it, I guess, if you want. Uh, and you could potentially get Mandragoras, or I think you can actually get Fairy Lotus with it, so that's kind of interesting. And then just 2 Sylvania. I'm testing 2 right now. For the extra deck, just Shooting Star, Leo, Scrap Dragon, Stardust Dragon. Sorry about that, my headset cut out. Yes, where were we? Yeah, Stardust Dragon, Black Rose Dragon, Vulcan the Divine, Allia Justice Catasper, Formula Synchron. And for the Xyz monsters, 1 Felgrand, 1 Alcee, 1 Aurea, 1 Draco Sack, 1 Strike Bouncer, and then C101 and 101 basically for M7. If I wasn't running M7, the 7th one, if I wasn't running this card, I would probably play an Exciting Knight in here. And then another card you can put in the extra deck if you don't like maybe Stardust Dragon or this card or even Shooting Star. Really, Shooting Star isn't that great of a card. I play it kind of for appearances. You can definitely play Crimson Blader and Mistworm in here, which is surprisingly good. So, yeah, that's about it for me. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions, thoughts, opinions. And yeah, that is about it. Thank you for watching, and until next time then.